Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I'll bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowner's or renter's insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com.
The Ticket. Michigan Insider Podcast is brought to you in part by defense attorney and WTKA legal insider Joe Simon. Find Joe at themichigandefenders.com.
We are back, folks, here on the Michigan Insider, Sports Talk 1050, WTKA, online at WTKA.com. Sam Webb, Mr. Ira Weintraub on the other side of the county. You know what that music means? It means it's the time of the show. He's not on the other side of the county. He's on the other side of the glass. Muscle memory, folks. You know what that music means? It means it's the time of the show where we give you the latest and the greatest in football and/or basketball recruiting. Take your recruiting questions at this time and this time only at 734-998-1050. Can tweet us at Michigan Insider. Tweet me directly at SamWeb77. You can email us at studio@WTKA.com. The recruiting roundup is brought to you by Ann Arbor criminal defense attorney and WTKA legal insider Joe Simon. Now, if you or a loved one are facing criminal charges, a police investigation, or maybe you're seeking to expunge a criminal record, there's no better option than our friend Joe. You hear Joe breaking down legal issues on these airways. Well, he brings the same analysis and expertise to all of his clients and cases. That's why Joe is so highly reviewed by his clients and peers. You can find the law offices of Joseph A. Simon located right across the street from the big house. You can also find Joe at themichigandefenders.com. Again, themichigandefenders.com. So, over at themichiganinsider.com, we are going to be getting to our next edition of the podcast after Memorial Day layoff. And we're going to be talking quarterbacks a bit with Greg Biggins from 24/7 Sports. And why are we talking quarterbacks with Greg Biggins? Because two of Michigan's top targets are from the West Coast. One of them was on campus yesterday. And so it was a very full day, as I alluded to earlier, for Jim Harbaugh, because they had satellite camps. There was a satellite camp at FIU. They were to be out in Kansas for a camp as well to see this kid, Jaron Kanak, who has been one of the hottest prospects in the country. Interesting thing about Kanak, as a sidebar, you're talking about a kid who is at 6'2", 210 pounds, is a 10-3 100-meter guy, right? 10-3 100-meter guy. And he was just on Michigan's campus. Just was on campus last weekend. Officially, it was a great academic school, one of the best in the Big Ten. Said the campus was beautiful, loved the staff. Great impression Michigan made on him. Well, clearly Michigan wanted to show him how much of a priority he was, because Jim was right back, seeing that kid, so returning to visit favor out in Kansas. Is what, Hayes College. This kid was in a camp or something at Hayes College, and Jim was out there to see him. Now, the reason why that's highlighted is because he had to first stay back in Ann Arbor and wait for Justin Martin. Who is Justin Martin? Inglewood, California. Ira the Wood. This kid has emerged over the last couple of months as one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He is a top 247 prospect. As a matter of fact, he might be number 247 overall. But a four-star quarterback, committed to Cal. Referenced him before, 6'4", about 210, 215 pounds. Said that he has not, like all the 22s, really has not experienced other schools, hadn't really been able to compare Cal to other schools. And so wants to get out and have something to compare it to either make sure he made the right decision or see if there's something better out there. So he went and camped at Ole Miss. I know some people were a little surprised that one of the Ole Miss guys put in a crystal ball that was premature. Premature crystal ball. I wouldn't read anything into that. Just that he camped there, had a good time. But shortly after that camp, and mind you, this is all on the heels of him being one of the top performers at Steve Clarkson's quarterback retreat, renowned quarterbacks coach Steve Clarkson, who everyone from Ben Roethlisberger down to, Wilton Speight. I mean, he's run the gamut. So he trains pros. He trains college guys. Steve does. We've interviewed him here on these airwaves. He trains high school guys. You might remember the stories about Wilton flying for weekends from Virginia out to San Diego to spend time with Steve. At any rate, Justin Martin he was one of the top performers there, goes to Ole Miss camp, does well there, comes to a workout in Michigan yesterday. Jim stays behind because other guys, much of the staff out at FIU, some of the staff out at Wayne State, I think, yesterday, too. And then he had to be out of Kansas. But I know at his workout, you had Jim, you had Matt Weiss, you had Josh Gaddis, at least. That's just the ones he could, and we'll have more from Justin later on. That's just ones you can remember being there. Maybe there were others. But they stayed behind for a workout that, his circle was really good. Really, really good. And so I believe that, Michigan is going to be more of a player coming off of this. I know what other schools are hitting them with because I asked them about it. I said, they're going to say, I'm sure they are saying, J.J. McCarthy, 5-star quarterback. Who do they have on the depth chart in front of you? And so his reply was very poignant. He said, well, I don't know a school that skips years recruiting quarterbacks. So what school am I looking at that didn't recruit a quarterback last year? What school am I looking at that isn't going to recruit a quarterback next year? They're going to recruit a quarterback every year. So I'm going to have to compete everywhere I go, right? You got a point. Now, not every kid looks at it that way, but it certainly illuminates his mindset and why I don't think JJ will be the hindrance for him, for Justin, that he may be for others. Really, has started to forge a relationship with Matt Weiss, his would-be position coach. Really spoke highly of Courtney. So Courtney is a major plug here. Major plug here because he knows the coaches. He knows the trainer. I had some plugs and Justin was very he spent some time sort of explaining what having Courtney around means. I mean, the guy from Cali who from my neck of the woods going across the country showing that a Cali guy can thrive at Michigan too, seeing an example of it means something to me. His words, not mine. So you're checking some boxes. Really, really focused academic kid as well. Again, checking some boxes for Justin Martin. It had seemed like the pendulum had swung, whether it was Justin Martin they just offered like a little over a week ago. He said Jim offered him, and you're talking about a kid being in awe. He's like, man, I'm on the phone with Jim Harbaugh. It was unbelievable. You see, he still has that power with some guys to leave them awestruck based on seeing him all those years in the NFL. So whether it's Justin Martin or this other kid that we talked about, Connor Harrell from Alabama, who they offered here recently as well, it had seemed like the pendulum had swung away from Nate Johnson. Not that they were not recruiting him anymore. Not that he wasn't on the board, but for a long time it seemed like it was like Nate Johnson and far and away the quarterback target for them. Now they've added to the board certainly started to recruit other guys vigorously too. But Nate Johnson, the young man from Clovis, California, 6'2", 183 pounds, is still very much in the picture, is headed on his official visit this coming weekend, and he is coming off of an outstanding showing at the Elite 11 competition out in Cali. And you're talking about a guy, so when I interviewed his quarterbacks coach a few months back, he compared him to Shoelace. He compared him to Denard Robinson. A lot of people was like, come on, I know he's a good athlete. And I kind of compare him to Melvin Riley. You know who Melvin Riley? You don't know who Melvin Riley is. So Melvin Riley is from Ready for the World. And Melvin Riley came by the Victor's Lounge 10 a few years ago. I don't know if you guys know, but he came by the Victor's Lounge 10. Now, Melvin Riley didn't have the Jerry curl like he had back in the day. Nate Johnson has that. Hey, he's still rocking the Ready for the World. We'll call it the Ready for the World. Did you know Melvin Riley's dad was my gym teacher? The lead singer for Ready for the World, his dad was my gym teacher in middle school. Mr. Riley was a cool dude. Anyway, I digress. Getting back on point. Nate Johnson is a fantastic athlete. You know, we were talking about Jaron Canick, the 6'2", 210-pound, two-way athlete running a 10-300 meter. Well, the reason why Nate Johnson is compared, or his quarterback's coach compared him to Shoelace, is you look at his track times. You look at how dynamic he is on the football field. The guy, a lot of people think that, like they did with Denard, that he's going to be, something else, a receiver, a tailback, something where his electric speed can be put to use outside of the quarterback position. And so you want to know about fast. I mean, this kid, 10.49, 100 meter, I think Lace was 10.44. And that was 10.49 last year. I think 10.44 is Denard's best time. 21.34, 200 meter. He is a blazer. But what was so impressive was that he was whipping it. At this, heard from Greg Biggins, man, this dude is out here balling. At this camp, he is throwing the football extremely well. They always said that he had a good arm, but he was throwing with touch. Now, this is a camp, right? This is not with pads on. This is not with a rush, but in a camp setting, hitting marks, making off platform throws. He did a great job. So much so that he was surprised that, or Greg was surprised that an invite to the Elite 11 finals wasn't extended, at least then and there. Maybe it will be at some point, but this is a kid who, from a stock perspective, it was seemingly stagnant. I mean, you can compare it with Justin Martin, compare it with Connor Harrell. They've been stacking scholarships over the last few weeks, over the last few months. And that was another thing with Nate Johnson. It's like, the scholarships hadn't been flowing in since the season. And you wonder if maybe that's going to change on the heels of this Elite 11 performance. But he just had his official visit to Utah. I think they're Michigan's prime competition. He is coming in for a visit this weekend, his official to Michigan for the first time. We have a story on the front page of the MichiganInsider.com as a preview. He's talking about that visit, talking about what he's looking for. And we're going to have more from Greg Biggins on the Michigan Recruiting Insider podcast, where he sort of breaks down both of those guys' games and their recruitments. We'll also be talking a lot about a lot of the visitors that have come into town, a lot of these camps that they're out at. Hey, Willis McGahee the fourth, Ira. Now, Michigan isn't on him. I just wanted to mention he was at a camp to show you how old we're getting. We're getting old, man. We got to get to a break. Be back on the other side here of the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050, WTKA, The Ticket, the official voice of University of Michigan Sports, Ann Arbor, a Cumulus station.